Peace, party people. Episode 56 of season 3, the last episode of season 3 for Where My Killer Tape At. We got a lot for y'all. A lot of reviews. A review of Joan Morgan's wonderful book, She Begat This. We're gonna not really review Bird Box, but we're gonna have like a little quick. I'm gonna have a discussion, right? And I'm gonna give a spoiler-free review of Aquaman. And then I'm gonna talk about how to start a book club. And then also how to have successful New Year's resolutions, executions, right? No doubt you like how I rhymed that right there. So definitely check us out here on Where My Killer Tape At.
Rock, steady, rock, steady, rock, steady, 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 steady.
For you profess it, make sure the science is applied. But that who, what, where, when. Sometimes
I pull up, hop out, air out, made it look sexy. They won't take me out my element. Nah, take me out my element.
For episode 56 of Where My Killer Tape At, I'm sipping on Crown Royal apple cider. Yo, shout out to the homie Black Fabio for this joint. He hooked the brother up for a holiday party. Yo, I appreciate you for that. Goes down smooth, man. I take it straight. I don't even put it on the rocks, man. So it's for the OGs out there. But nah, I didn't get the bag. The last book that my book club read, shout out to the Noir Book Club here in Ohio, was She Begat This, 20 Years of the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by the wonderful Joan Morgan. If you don't know who Joan Morgan is, you need to slap yourself. She wrote the phenomenal and life-changing When Chicken Heads Come Home to Roost several years ago. So she actually republished it a couple years back. So you definitely want to check that out. You don't have to read that book to read She Begat This, but it kind of like tells you where she's coming from. What I love about this book, the first thing I love about this book is that it's like you got to take it with context, right? Because she points out that no one's really written about Lauryn Hill, a book about Lauryn Hill. You know, you have books about, Nas Illmatic and stuff like that, several books on that, even some academic tomes on several albums, particularly Tupac, right? But Lauryn Hill had like a big influence on hip hop music. And really, it's not until recently that another person has reached, the same accolades that she has. So that's interesting to point that out. She did a lot of stuff, not just for hip hop culture, but also for how mass media perceives black women. So I think that's what I love about this. So it takes all that into context, right? Like, for example, I forgot that. I remember that she was on the covers on all these magazines, from like Details, Mademoiselle, that usually didn't have dark-skinned women with natural hair on there. And here she is, boom, on all these covers. I think there was like 35 covers or something like that on magazines that usually don't cover. Vibe did, of course, but they usually do that. The Source did, of course, back then. But I thought that was interesting, and Joan Morgan talks about that. So just how she, and then she talks about how Lauryn Hill, her image, help a lot of black women with their self-images. And I thought that was dope. So she talks about that in there. The second thing I love about this book is that it comes off like a mixtape. And I don't know if that was, Joan Morgan did that on purpose, but you know how you have a mixtape and you have like, and we're not, you just hear me out. You know how you have like all these special guests and features on the mixtape? Well, she has the same thing. She has DJ Beverly Bond. She has Michaela Angela Davis. She has, Kieran Amayo. She has Dream Hampton. Who are all like my favorite writers, by the way, when it comes to hip hop culture. So they're all in there, and she references so much, and this is really dope. So I loved it. The only issue I have with it is that it was so short. My book club loved it. I highly recommend it for any book club that's out there, whether you do hip hop music, whether you do race and gender, whether you do intersectionality, I highly recommend it. It's a short read, and you'll finish it quickly, but the discussions that you're going to have will be so rich and amazing. And for us, it was intergenerational because we had someone who is a millennial, and she talks about that, how that album, they look at that album differently than our generation. So definitely cop it. I highly recommend it. And, shout out Joan Morgan when you get it and take a picture. Word. I'm going to put it in my show notes too. Let's talk about New Year's resolutions. I discussed this quickly on my IG, on my Instagram. First of all, I love New Year's resolutions. I do them every year. I think they're dope. A lot of people hate on them, which is fucked up. I think it's really fucked up because why are you going to hate on people that are going to try to make themselves better? They're going to try to improve themselves, lose weight, learn a new trade or a craft or a language or something like that. Like, come on, man, don't do that. So I love them. They're dope. And I get it. It's a new year, so we always love new things, and we try to do better things when we have new things, right? So that's why. And then you also have positive peer pressure. So I think that those are the things that I love. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you the 5 things you need to do to have a successful year when it comes to your New Year's resolution. So number 1, you should set realistic goals. The example I gave on my Instagram was for, let's say you want to save money, right? You want to say, for 2019, I want to save money. If you're someone who hasn't saved a nickel in the last 10 years, you want to set a realistic goal. And what we mean by that is, I'm not going to say, by the end of 2019, I want to save $10,000. I've never saved a nickel before. So what I want to do is maybe, rethink it and maybe say to myself, maybe I want to save $50 a month because that's more feasible to doing that, right? It makes sense, right? The second thing you should do is set up a plan. Now, what I do is when I have a plan, I try to make it something that's real easy, like the steps are real easy. So I try to keep the steps between 2 to 3 steps, right? Because once you get to like 5 or 6, you got to write them down. You got to remember them. You got to consistently refer to them. You got to memorize. There's that extra work of memorizing it, right? Whereas if you have 2 to 3 easy steps, you can do it. And so I think you should, make a plan. Don't just say, I want to save $50 a month. Make a plan. How am I going to do that, right? Am I going to stop buying certain items per week that'll equal up to $50 a month? You see what I'm saying? Like, that's a real quick plan to say. So if I'm spending like going to Starbucks and buying $5 cups of coffee on Saturdays and Sundays when I don't really need it, when I'm not working, maybe I need to stop doing that. And right there, I'm saving almost $10, right? So just think about it. These are the things that you can work on. So the third thing I'm going to say is there's strength in numbers. Try to get a team, whether you guys are guys and gals are going to the gym, whether you guys and gals are reading a book, things of that nature. Like get with a team, hold each other accountable. I say 3 to 4 people because when you have more than 4 people, it can get messy and people will fall off. So try to keep it short. Group of people that you trust and you can work with. You normally get along with them. Like get people you get along with. So that'll be dope. And you just keep each other accountable. You have so many uses of technology to do that in. The fourth thing you should do is quarterly reassessments. Shout out to my man, Brendan. He's the one that brought this up. You don't have to do quarterly reassessments. Like, you don't have to do it on March and then June and then October and then December. You can do them bi-monthly if you want, but you should consistently check yourself, right? Am I meeting my goals? Am I following through? Maybe this was unrealistic because now you can figure that out. And, remember how you went with those steps? Maybe you can figure out which one of those steps you're not doing to execute it and fulfill it. So always do those assessments. I think for me, quarterly is easier. Some people, they want to do one weekly, and that's fine. Remember, just set those realistic goals. And the final thing I'm going to say is to celebrate the wins. And I think I think this is where we really mess up. Because again, it's the little things, it's the little wins, right? It's the little victories that we get. And be creative in that sense. Like try to figure out ways to reward yourself for meeting those goals. And it's just a good thing. It's a good boost, especially if you're on a team. It's a good way to boost each other and show each other love and get that positive energy and really get that positive peer pressure. I hope these things help. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask me. And I hope you're all successful for the New Year's. Have a wonderful New Year and it all goes well. And let's do this together, man. Let's be better people. Word. So someone asked me, they wanted to start a book club, so they wanted, they asked me for some advice, which I think, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I didn't see that one coming, but this isn't the first book club I had. I had different book clubs throughout, really decades. I had some, in person, and I had some online. Both of them were equally fun, filled with great people. So I'm gonna give you some advice on how to start a book club and go from there. So let's do this. The first thing you should do is pick a format. And the reason why I say that is because people, they run their book clubs differently, whether it's online or in person. I know I've been in some book clubs and I organized some book clubs where we met once a week and we would pick a book and we would read the first meeting we would have, you were supposed to read like the first 50 pages. Second meeting, you would read the next 50 pages and then you would discuss it. I like this better because what happens is you have a longer discussion on the book. More people get involved in it. The only thing about that is that it takes you longer to read the book, which for some people actually it might work out, especially if they read a lot of books per month. So for an average book that was about 200 pages, it took us about a month and a half, sometimes 2 months to read. Whereas if you do the format that most people are used to, which is read a book and then they meet at the end of the month or the beginning of the following month and read it that way, people usually do that, and that usually works pretty well. So that's just, pick your format. It doesn't have to be that way. And again, whether you do it online or not, like if you do it online, we used to meet on Google, what's it called? Google Plus, where you would meet in a group and video. Some people would just have just their picture, and that usually worked for us. So there's different ways to do it. Just be creative, but pick a format and try to stick with it.
It's all a game. It's all a game.
I think probably what I should have put as number one is choosing a venue. I think that is crucial. You want to, and some people use coffee shops. Some people use libraries. I'm fortunate that my local library has all these great, wonderful, beautiful spaces that just have great furniture and have access to the internet and access to a flat screen TV and a dry erase board. I can go on and on. This is perfect, but everybody doesn't have that. So just finding a nice spot. I don't recommend coffee shops, and the reason being is because they get to be noisy with all the orders being taken and, espresso machines working. So that's why I'm not a big fan of them. It's a good place to meet, but not to have a book club. That's my opinion. That is just my opinion. And I know some places have really small shops where you just can't help the noise. So I really don't recommend that. But, the venue is important. Try to find a venue with a central location. I've been to some book clubs where somebody did it in their home. Their home was big enough to accommodate, 10 to 12 people easily and comfortably, you know what I'm saying? But I know some people are funny about it. So I don't mind opening up my home. I've done that before, but somebody else might have issues with it. So I recommend just finding a central location, one that everybody can get access to, preferably free, right? That you ain't got to pay for it. But I know, for example, a friend of mine runs a coffee shop, and there's somebody that does a book club, and they actually pay for it. So what she does is that she actually closes her venue for that time, a coffee shop for that time to do it. It's like a 2-hour block period, and it's just private. And I think that's dope. I think if you want to do that, if you have the people to do it, then that's fine. But again, to me, choosing a place, especially when you live in a city, that people that live in the suburbs, they might not, if it's too far, they're not going to show up. That's just one thing that I've learned. Another thing you should consider is what kind of books you're going to read. And what I like about book clubs. There's now you can find like book clubs for different genres, right? Like there's book clubs that deal strictly with Stephen King novels, right? There's book clubs that deal with science fiction. There's some book clubs that deal with nonfiction. There's some book clubs that deal with biographies. So I think that's a finding one is different. And the reason why I say that is because if you find something that you like or create a book club that you like, then you'll have a lot of fun doing it. Me personally, I love to read a lot of books. So on my book clubs, what I do is I mix it up. We do nonfiction one month, fiction the other month. So we like doing it. And nonfiction could include biographies too as well. So that's what we usually do. And then it's like, most book clubs, they'll just say, we're doing this book, right? And they just go right there. Me personally, what I do is I have my book club pick out different books, and then I take a collection of them, and then we'll vote on it. So by the time we do meet, and we meet at the end of the month, by the time we do meet, we will know which book we're going to be doing that day, so that way we can purchase it in time for the following month. So I think it works for us. You don't have to do it that way. I just try to be as democratic as possible because my biggest worry is people leaving a book club for whatever reason, for whatever small reason, right? So I try to be as accommodating as possible, and it works. It works for me. So you can do it how you want to do it. I think it's easier to pick a particular genre that you like, because you're gonna find people that are like-minded and want to do that, right? So do that. So I think that's a good idea. Now, let me just say this one real quick, and I don't want to like put any negative energy out there when it comes to book clubs. They can be real easy to run. In my experience, they have been superbly easy to run. I've been real picky at how I promote and who I ask to be in the book club. I'm real picky about that. Because there are some people who want to come in there and they want to, they kind of like want to impose their rule. Like, I don't like this, so I think we should do this. And they're real negative towards people. And look, sometimes the debates get a little bit heated. That's expected, right? And I think it's dope. I don't have a problem with debates where people just vehemently disagree. I'm cool with that. I think that's going to happen. But there are some people who don't respect boundaries. There are some people who don't know how to debate. And you never know who this person could be. So you might have a coworker who's really cool at work, and you guys are kind of like-minded, and then you invite them to a book club, and there's a particular topic that comes up, and all of a sudden they're a bigot, right? So you don't know where it's coming from. So you have to learn how to kind of it's a learning curve. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to learn, and then you got to learn how to deal with people. You got to ask people to leave sometimes. You got to say, hey, don't come back because you might be a little bit harmful, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many things that could go wrong. And, because some of the stuff that we read is hits the heart. Some of the stuff can be triggering. We've had books that were difficult to read, and we pushed through them anyway. And it's funny. There were books that we've chosen, and I put disclaimers on them. I'm like, hey, some of the stuff in here is triggering. Just want to warn you, and just be mindful of those kind of things, because you can have some real beefs in it. You know what I mean? Like, people say things that they don't mean. I've had a few hiccups. I'm gonna say I had tremendously way better experiences than I did hiccups, right? I had situations where I had to ask people not to come back, situations that got really hairy, but they weren't far few in between. I just want y'all to be ready for that. So I always say, just again, my whole thing is accommodating people and meeting them where they're at, and not giving them any reason to leave. And I definitely don't ever want anybody to leave because someone in there was making it feel uncomfortable. So my point is, create the culture for your book club. You know what I mean? Do that and do it well, and make sure it's a safe space, because what I've learned is that a lot of people don't have these venues or access to these safer spaces to express themselves and to meet people that think like them and learn about new things together as a group. I hope this all helps. If you have any more questions, you know where to hit me up. Real quick, I want to talk about Aquaman, starring Jason Momoa. I just want to say that I'm a Marvel head. Y'all know how I am. And I think we've discussed how we shouldn't go into these superhero movies expecting stuff from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? From the MCU. To expect the same tight scripts and everything and world building and all that. Because if we do, we're going to always be disappointed. You know what I mean? So I go into DCEU, or the DC Expanded Universe, movies with that in mind. And I'm gonna give DC a love because their TV shows are actually, like Green Arrow is pretty dope. Black Lightning is dope. I gotta catch up on the Flash. The Flash is dope. I'm so behind on that. And again, I'm not a DC fan, but I just wanted to put that out there. But Aquaman was underwhelming. And to be honest, first of all, the movie was too long. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's just too long. They did pack a lot of stuff. They packed a lot of stuff in there. They did a lot of world building quickly. Like they really kind of boom, this is where we at, right? So it was a lot. So that's one issue I had with it. Another issue I had with it is that, again, Aquaman's powers are not defined. You know what I'm saying? In one instance, he could, he can, he's fighting a bunch of men from Atlantis, because Atlantis is supposed to be people from Atlantis are supposed to be as strong as he is, and he's barely holding his own. But then he could lift a submarine out the water, you know what I'm saying? What is it? What is it? What is his power set, right? We do know that Atlantean steel could penetrate his skin, but anything else that's not bullets doesn't hurt him. So that's they explain that, but I kind of feel like his power set was they do that quite often. So I have a big issue with that. I know that's a real geek thing to have an issue with. They had a stellar cast. You have Willem Dafoe in it. You know what I'm saying? You had my man from I love this dude, Tamara Morrison. I love Tamara Morrison. The CGI on him was blah. And you would think that at this point, because we've seen how they CGI Grand Moff Tarkin in that one Star Wars movie, and then they also CGI'd Princess Leia, you know what I'm saying, Carrie Fisher, and it looked pretty decent, you know what I'm saying, but they did the same. They tried to make Tamara Morrison's character younger, because he's older. Tamara Morrison is almost in his 60s, so they try to make him look younger, like somebody in his late 20s, early 30s. And at first I could not recognize him. I knew it was him, but I was like, is that really him? So they did a really bad job. It reminded me of the bad job they did in the Justice League with Superman. And I'm nitpicking. I know I am, but I just thought that it would just make everything look better. The battle scene at the end was tremendously overwhelming. There was just a lot going on, and I think they could have saved that for maybe the sequel. So again, it could have been shorter. If it was about 30 minutes shorter, I probably would have rated it higher. It's not whack. I think you should go see it. Jason Momoa as Aquaman is dope. I just feel like they could have shortened it, and they could have removed some characters, saved some of the storylines for later on. And it just they only mentioned the Justice League one time. I thought that was whack too. So that's again the issue with trying to do continuity in such a short amount of time. So I don't think you got to go to watch it. You could probably wait for it to come on DVD or Netflix or stream. It's again, if you miss it, it's it's cool. Do you need to watch it as part of the DCU? Yes, you do. But I don't think you got to rush out to see it. So that's my take on that. Bird Box. Real quick, just to get this out the way. Yes, you should watch it. Ignore the haters. You really should watch it. They got my man Trevante Rhodes in it from Moonlight and Predator. So that right there, watching, they got Little Rel in it. I was like, oh snap, Little Rel in it. They got John Malkovich in it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's worth watching. People are gonna say whatever. People are gonna compare it to A Quiet Place, which, yes, I can see why they say that, because it's a post-apocalyptic, story. You know what I mean? It's dystopia, right? It's it's like the end of the world. So it's kind of the same way. It's different because you don't know who the monsters are. You just don't know who they are. And also, they got Sandra Bullock in there. She does her thing. Highly recommend it. Now, I'm not even going to do a review on it because I kind of feel like it speaks for itself, as you can tell by the memes that you've seen online. But what I want to address this Uncle Tom thing, right? Because Trevante Rhodes' character, who is black, his name is Tom in the movie, And, people are like, oh, yo, black man named Tom. I said, well, his name's probably Thomas. I know a lot of black men named Thomas. And none of us call him Tom. You might call him T or whatever. But I feel you. I mean, I used to be about that, watch the movies and what they trying to tell us. I used to be on that shit. Actually, I used to do lectures on that. Ain't that crazy? There's a lot of things about me that y'all don't know that I probably never reveal. It'll probably be revealed in my biopic, right? So I hope I said that right? Anyway, we went over that. But anyway, so they're saying that his name is Uncle Tom. Now, I will say this. Hollywood has, when it comes to horror films, has always killed off black people before the end of the movie. You know what I mean? That's just, and sometimes that leaks over to other genres, right? Like action, adventure, and stuff like that. So yeah, if you watch the movie, you're gonna see the movie. You're gonna tell in the beginning who's going to survive. The beginning tells you who's gonna survive and who doesn't. Fact. So you're gonna see in the beginning where she's at towards the end of the movie, and then you're gonna meet everybody after that. That's in the movie. So it kind of like tells you. So I'm not spoiling anything for you if you watch it. But I mean, then again, it's a horror film done by Hollywood or Netflix or whatever. Black people don't make it to the end. That's just something. I remember Ice Cube when he did Anaconda. He said, "Yo, I'll be in this movie if I survive to the end." Like that's something he had to put in his contract. That's facts. That is facts. So that's one thing I want to deal with. So I have an issue with that. And the second thing I have an issue with is that even though I love Trevante Rhodes, I'm glad that he's getting roles. I really do, because he's a great actor. Very handsome. I really like him. But the magical Negro thing, because really his character is what helped change Sandra Bullock's character. Like her growth and development, he was a part of that, even though he wasn't going to be he wasn't going to be around for the end result. I know I gave it away. And I have an issue with that because Hollywood is really good in all genres of doing the magical Negro, where you have a black person who helps out this white person, but you don't learn too much about him. Trevante Rhodes did his thing, though. I mean, he really acted his butt off. Again, there's a lot of problems with Bird Box, but I think it's worth watching. And we could, I think we should discuss it, but I don't think there's a conspiracy theory of putting we got a black man with a white lead. And I will admit that Hollywood has also a problem with putting a black lead with another black lead, particularly, that are going to be romantic partners. I see that happen a lot. The good example would be The Rock, right? It's a good example, right? But I can go on and on. So I have an issue with that, but I don't think it's a conspiracy that says that, white people are going to try to kill off black. Well, that's shit. That ain't no fucking conspiracy. But anyway, you know what I mean by that. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Word is bond. Yes, this is the last health segment of 2018 for episode 56. And I just want to say this real quick. It's not really any advice for those of you that are going into the New Year's resolutions and focusing on, losing weight, trying to get into that bathing suit, trying to get that 8-pack for the summer. I call it the summer run. That's what I call it because everybody's scrambling to do that and they try to meet those deadlines. And I'm going to go back to, I'm going to ask you to refer to my New Year's resolution piece that we probably just heard. Set realistic goals. That's the number one thing. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Like 150 pounds by June, that's not going to happen. And it's actually unhealthy if you do that, just to give you a FYI. Number two, I've talked about this before. There's no magic bullet. There isn't. You got to do a bunch of things to do that. Not just one thing. It's just not going to do it for you. Number three, stay away from snake oil salespeople that are going to try to sell you shit that's supposed to help you lose weight. It's bullshit. And then finally, love your body, man. Like really, love. You only get one body. You don't get a replacement. It's not Super Mario Brothers. You die, another one come up. Like you only get one body. So take care of it. Like really love it. Like and love it. Like look at yourself in the mirror and really learn to love your body. All the different parts of your body, the scars, the curves, the stretch marks, all that. Like really learn to love yourself. Like love your body, man. And I'm gonna tell you why, because you won't hate yourself if you don't meet your goal. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want nobody to hate themselves because that's mad unhealthy. So learn how to love your body. Learn how to love the vessel that's brought you this far, the vessel that keeps you going. You know what I mean? A vessel that's brought you joy. Like really, really do that, man. If there's any piece of advice I can give to you, is that to love your body, to love yourself. Word is born. I'll see y'all for next year. Word. is probably my favorite part of the show, the shout outs for episode 56. Man, where should I start? Of course, Steph of the Dope Science Show, who's been like a huge supporter on the show. And actually, I had her on here. Dope episode. A lot of the ideas that I have come from her, and as well as Misty Creates. There's another person that I get a lot of ideas from, a lot of topics from. So shout out to both of them. I don't think the show would be what it is without them. Definitely want to shout out the homie Zemo. I know I owe you a comic book. I'm going to send it on Monday. I promise you. He's been a regular on the show. He's dope. Also, my oldest son, B-Boy Sabi, who's been on the show a couple times, and he's just another great supporter. And I just, this is just like with him, this is like this is love. This is mad love. And I hope that y'all feel that love coming through the airways when you hear us talking and interviewing and all that stuff. So definitely. Want to give a shout out to Shadow One. Yo, you dope. You're a dope geek, and I'm definitely gonna bring her back to the show. She added a lot of flavor to the show, and I really can't express that enough. Shout out to my man Adisa Banjoko of the Hip Hop Chess Federation. Please check out his podcast, the Bishop Chronicles. This is amazing. I'm actually gonna put it in the show notes. So he's another brother that like really helps me out. And in 2019, we plan on collaborating some more on some really dope stuff that we kind of like been discussing over the years, but haven't sat down and put it together. And now we're doing it together. So big things are going on in 2019. Who else I need to shout out? I need to definitely shout out two of my coworkers, and they don't want me to mention their names, they want me to remain anonymous, but they also like gave me a lot of ideas, and they've actually, what I love about them is they put a lot of people onto my podcast. So I really appreciate y'all too. You know who you are. There's no need for me to say that. And definitely I got to shout out my fans and my listeners, man. Y'all really dope. I have the best listeners in the world for doing that, and everybody that's come out and supported and all that. And in 2019, I shall have merchandise. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
Lord of mercy, all nights and days and crew. Follow me now, mercy, all nights and days and crew. Follow me now, mercy, all nights and days and crew. Follow me now, mercy, all nights and days and crew. Follow me now.
There you have it, party people. Episode 56, the last episode of 2018. I hope you enjoy it. And this is the end of season 3. We shall be returning to you in February of 2019 during Black History Month. So we're going to take all of January off. We're going to have a new cover and all that stuff. So just to give you a heads up on that. I just want to say thank you to all my listeners, man. Like, gosh, like y'all really did y'all thing. Y'all supported me. Y'all came through. Y'all showed me mad love. You passed it around. You gave me great feedback. Because I can't do this without y'all. You know what I mean? For real, for real. And I appreciate y'all for that. Season 4 is going to be better. We're going to have more guests. And, again, part of my New Year's resolution was to have more guests on my show. And I did that in season 3. We're going to have more guests. We're going to bring back some old guests. Definitely going to bring back B-Boy Sabi and my boy Zemo. And actually Shadow. Like, I'm really trying to make her like a regular. So definitely like, man, like it was a dope year. Anyway, please book me for workshops. I can do workshops on capoeira, on breakdancing. I could do workshops to discuss hip hop culture, hip hop music, and also intersectionality and black male feminism. I can do discussions on Black history, whatever you want. Hit me up on my email, DanTresOmi@gmail.com, DanTresOmi. And if you just want to hit me up, if you have questions, you need advice. You can send it to the same email address. Just put advice in the subject line, because I'll give it to you on the show. Let me know if you want to remain anonymous or not. You can hit me up on the Twitters at DanTresOmi, DanTresOmi, or at Omi's Podcast, OMIS Podcast. Definitely hit me up. Even if you just want to say, yo, I love the show or I hate the show, do that. And I've gotten a lot of love. I got a lot of love. I never got any hate these last 3 seasons. So definitely, I'll see y'all in February 2019. Have a happy new year. Be safe. Love yourself and love everybody else. Peace.